I knew eventually that the first beer on me guarantee was going to be a hit here at Biergarten in Boca Raton. There has never been more excitement for this any Monday night we've been out here in Biergarten in Boca Raton until tonight. And you know what? It's festive. Everybody feels good. It's a football bye week. Basketball starts a week from tonight. What's not to be happy about, Damon Arnette?
Oh, this is a great time of year. It really is, because you had FAU particularly that showed well up there at Navy, and we got basketball season coming up fresh off of a scrimmage down there at the UM, and with their season starting this Monday. So it's a great, exciting time right now.
We also, it hasn't been made official yet, but I will tease you.
Don't tease me.
We have potentially something groundbreaking, new, fun, exciting coming up right around this time next Monday, right outside the Eleanor R. Baldwin Arena. We can't divulge the intricate details yet, but there is a chance that as early as tomorrow, we're able to let the world know what is happening next Monday.
So you have ticker information, ESPN ticker type of information.
That's right. That's right. It's going to be breaking news.
It's going to be big, kid.
Yeah. It's going to be on the tip of everybody's tongue. I can assure you of that. Florida Atlantic Voice. It has nothing to do with basketball facilities. I don't have that type of power. I just can go out and talk. That's what I do. It's a new broadcast booth at the basketball arena. Florida Atlantic Voice, presented by Robes Law Group, ROBES, robeslawgroup.com. Personal injury lawyers, presenting partners of the Florida Atlantic Voice. And just a quick note, if Brian Kelly wanted to jump on as a secondary sponsor, he's more than welcome with that $54 million buyout.
You ain't like, well, would I have to leave and you give him my headset?
Well, he's never met a microphone he doesn't like, so that might have to happen.
I'm not
going
nowhere. He can't. I didn't get fired.
Yeah. Damon Arnette says, no, screw you, Brian Kelly.
There you go.
Florida Atlantic coming back from Navy. FAU has lost 2 straight. And I was thinking about it today, and I know that there's going to be strife and there's going to be anger and, oh, man, this doesn't look promising for a bowl game. I get all of that, but there is no team in this conference and very few teams in America that are going to successfully navigate 3-0. Memphis, who beat USF, who still to me is the best team in the conference, and Navy, who hasn't lost a game going back to last year, 10 straight. So that's hard. That's very difficult. And FAU, once again, was very much in the game and just couldn't come up with the winning plays.
And you know what? That's to be expected, sadly to say, and I say this in retrospect, obviously, because every game you go into, you believe you can win them. But with the new coaching staff, new players, new system, new everything, to play that the way that we're playing in football terms. Well, let me just say it like this, Ken. Last year with basketball, okay, with Jacobs coming in, he had a bar that was set. Just an understanding, an expectation.
The expectation had been established.
Exactly.
The standard had been established.
Exactly. With all of the movement and the new personnel, new coaching staff, there was an understanding and a reasonable expectation that was met.
Mm-hmm.
In football terms, I know the record does not compare to the FAU basketball record.
Right.
But in football terms, this record and how we're playing against top teams is equivalent, based on all the factors and circumstances that the program is going under right now.
So Florida Atlantic has 4 games left. We always do the math. You have 4 games to win 3. 4 games to win 3 to become bowl eligible. That was going to be the goal. That was going to be the achievement here for 2025. I will reassure everybody throughout the podcast, though, that is not dead. And I'll go into greater detail on that, but that is not dead. A reminder, if you're watching live, YouTube, or on Twitter, Monday Night Live with myself and Damon Arnette from Biergarten and Boca Raton, the chat is open. Throw us your questions. Throw us your observations. Throw us anything. It doesn't even have to be FAU related. And if you're here on site at Biergarten and Boca Raton, just find yourself a napkin business card and send us a question. Put it right here on our broadcast table here at Biergarten and Boca Raton. Damon and I will go ahead and address that as well. We're going to talk some FAU basketball. We're in the bye week for football, like we mentioned, and it is homecoming next up for Florida Atlantic, November 8th at Tulsa. Boy, it's been a day for me, by the way. Before we get to these.
What you been doing today, Ken? I thought you
so-
was just chilling all day.
No, the FAU basketball luncheon was today at the
Yes.
Eleanor R. Baldwin Arena. And it was Brian White I was talking to. It was Leanne Freeland, new women's basketball coach, and, of course, John Jacobs, FAU basketball coach. And I'm not going to go into great detail because I have a reputation to uphold.
Okay.
But I am an idiot.
Oh.
So
Say that again?
I'm an idiot.
Okay.
So I have not met. I have the confidence to admit that in front of friends that I am a blithering idiot and hundreds online right now. So I have not met the full women's basketball staff yet. And their first impression of me today was standing up on the podium saying how excited I was for everybody to be there, how great it was to talk FAU men's basketball and FAU women's basketball. And what did I do? I gave the wrong date, time, and the wrong official nature of their first game this season. They start the year November 4th, the day after FAU has Boston College. I proceeded to say that this coming Tuesday, Florida Atlantic women's basketball had an exhibition game against the team they're playing in the opener November 4th. And assistant coaches were yelling at me, and they were trying to communicate with hand signals and sign language, and I had no idea what they were saying. All the proceedings came to a grinding halt. So that was my day, making a complete fool of myself in front of important people and important people with money.
But Ken, you see what happens when you don't take me along?
I know.
You see what happens.
You're not only great from from a muscle perspective. If I'm talking trash to somebody, at least I've got someone big and imposing who's over my shoulder. But also from an information standpoint, it's also
see, that's what happens, Ken. Man, I mean, when you do these things on the whim, you don't bring your partner along with you.
I know. So it's like a little piece of me is missing.
So I'm gonna tell you what I tell my kids all the time when they make bad decisions or whatnot. What have you learned today?
Well, I've learned that I need to write stuff down.
What have you learned today?
So just a reminder, Florida Atlantic men's basketball, they have an exhibition Thursday. That's against Florida Tech at the Ellie. And then the opener against Boston College, only the third power conference team to ever make an appearance at the Eleanor R. Baldwin Arena, the history of that venue. And then the first two, Miami was the other. Now, so here's the other one, and it's going to drive people crazy, but they were in the Big East at the time. 2010, USF came in to what was then the Borough, and they were in the Big East. That counts as a power school, and FAU won that game, and that's the year that they ended up winning the Sun Belt Conference 2010-2011.
Well, let me ask you this. So what was the question? What was the first school to come into the FAU arena to do what?
A power team? Miami.
Team. What year?
They've done it several times, actually.
Okay.
They did lose once at the Borough, and then almost lost at the Borough the year before the Final Four season.
Now, what year are you counting when I played them in the Borough?
I don't know. How many times you play Miami?
I played them, I think, 3 times.
How'd you do?
Oh, we lost all
3. Yeah, 0-3.
Yeah. But they came to the Borough, I believe, the first time in 98.
That makes sense. Yeah. But they're the power team that has visited FAU the most. Boston College will be number 3 if you do count South Florida as a power conference team from the Big East.
No, we're not counting South.
Okay. All right, fine. We're not counting USF. You heard Damon Arnette. Sorry, USF.
They're our rival to all the fans out here that are looking at me crazy. They're our rival.
Well, don't tell USF fans that. They swear that FAU is not a rival of theirs. They say no, USF not a rival. Okay. They also think they're going to the Big Ten, though, which is laughable. All right, let's get to our football awards here. Huh?
In all sports?
In all sports. Yeah, could you imagine USF consistently year after year going to Ohio State? Yeah. Oh, by the way, Brian Kelly, Penn State, collision course, going to happen. You heard it here first. He'll be the next head coach at Penn State.
You believe so?
I absolutely believe so. And James Franklin, UAB. All right. Let's go ahead and get to our football awards here. Nkosi Perry, BJ Emmons behind the line award. It's Caden Veldkamp, 25 of 41 against Navy, 299, touchdown, and an interception that was not his fault. And I do present that as a qualifier because he does have 11 interceptions on the season, and I want to make sure that everybody knows not every interception a quarterback throws is actually on the quarterback.
All interceptions aren't equal depending on who your receivers are.
Right.
But at some point in time, you got to, in basketball, know your personnel.
Yep.
Okay, but on that particular interception you're talking about, that was not his fault.
The Jason Harmon Tight End Award, and a reminder the chat is open. Jason Harmon Tight End Award. We're not going to give that award out this week. Navy did a good job of shutting down Michael Kirch, who has been on a tear recently. Wasn't able to really make an impact in this game.
I really want you to go ahead and go do your awards because I really have something to say about FAU football.
Okay. Jensen Stoshak, wide receiver award. Jay Sean Platt, 5 catches, 121 yards. Got the scoring started with a 43-yard touchdown catch from Caden Velkamp. And you thought to yourself, boy, we are a lot faster than that Navy secondary. Problem is, for another week, FAU unable to establish the run game. So what was Navy able to do? Cheat their defensive backs deeper into the secondary, and that made life more difficult for Caden Velkamp. Antonio Woods Offensive Line Award, Vinny Fiacable. This was a tough task against Navy. The run game hasn't bit there, but Fiacable continues to play clean football, no penalties, a converted center, and he's done a really good job this season of, for the most part, of anybody in the front 5 getting his job done. Evan Anderson Defensive Line Award. Bryce Langston, he had 4 tackles, had the only quarterback here hurry on Blake Horvath in that triple option offense. Here's your connection to Brian Kelly, came from LSU, transferred to Florida Atlantic. Randall Johnson Linebacker Award. Tyler Stolsky, this game was tailor-made for him, 13 tackles, 5 solo. You'd like Tyler Stolsky. He's a captain in the linebacking corps. He doesn't wear it, but he would fit in well 20 years ago wearing that neck roll. That linebacker neck roll.
Okay,
it would fit him perfectly.
The linebacker award you just gave out,
Yep.
Randall Johnson. What number is he?
11? I think he was 11, Randall Johnson.
All right.
I'll have to look at that. But I'm feeling correct on a lot of things tonight, including James Franklin to UAB.
That whole little ceremony thing put you on edge, huh?
Oh, man. I tell you, I went home after that where I screwed up the schedule, and I just started blasting into my brain any piece of college sports information that needed to be had tonight.
Good for you.
Sherrod Neesman Defensive Back Award. Dylan Williams, 9 tackles. And at the end of the first half, Navy decided to go full service mode, alpha mode. They called their final timeout at FAU's 3 with 3 seconds left to go, and instead of taking the points field goal, they decided to go for it. And FAU was equal to the task. They threw a hitch to the left side, and Dylan Williams came streaking in to make a tackle at the 1-yard line, and FAU went into the locker room trailing 21-13. That's a big-time play against a big-time Navy offense, and so Dylan Williams gets this honor. And then the Matthew Hayball Special Teams Award, Logan Lupo. He only punted once, but he pinned Navy inside the 5. Lupo has 20 punts this year. 9 have been inside the 20. 8 have been 50 or more, and he had a 62-yard punt. Now, we've seen that Easton Messer has been the Special Teams Award winner, FAU's punt returner, one of the best in the country. Navy, they successfully kept the ball away from him. Want to know why?
Why?
They didn't punt.
That's
Not one single punt
from
in that game. Yeah, that's a very easy way to neutralize Easton
Where are we
Messer.
ranked offensively? FAU offense?
Caden Velkamp is number 5 in the nation in passing yards. The team offense as a whole, 2nd in the country in passing offense.
Not a half a second, a whole second.
Yeah, whole 2nd. Now, FAU, unfortunately, is bottom 10 in all of college football in the run game, which we'll get to a little perspective here in a second. FAU defense, last in the league in rushing, 2nd to last in the league in rush defense. That's not helping. That's a big reason why FAU is 3-5 right now. But 3 of the 5 conference games against teams in the 5-team league title race. Like, that's hard to overcome. You got Memphis, USF, Navy. You've played them all. The other 2 teams, Tulane and North Texas.
I think what this is showing as you going through all that is that FAU is taking a jump to a new conference and is playing, I'm not going to say superior, but just
it's superior. It's superior to Conference USA.
Where they are, though. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, the 4 out of the 5 teams that have the best odds to go to the college football playoff as a group of 5 or 6 school, however you frame it, are from the American. So, I mean, that tells you all you need to know right there. And FAU has played 3 of them to this point. And I'm not trying to make I'm trying to make excuses, but I also too want to make sure that people understand contextually that this is the best group of 5 league in the country, and I would argue you could put it up against all but Miami in the ACC.
Well, if you're talking about FAU football and just from a fan perspective, you don't care about all what's so happening.
I said it. Maybe Georgia Tech, too.
Go ahead.
Yeah, maybe Georgia Tech, too. I'm getting pushed back to the ACC American Conference.
So
SMU and Miami on Saturday. SMU is about to be thrust into this conversation if they win. Now, if SMU beats Miami, guess who's not going to the college football playoff?
Who's not going?
Miami.
You don't think Miami's going with 2 losses?
No, absolutely not. They're done.
You think that? What are
That's
they
a
ranked right
done
now?
deal. What's that?
What's Miami ranked right now?
They're 6-1 right now.
They're 6-1.
But they already lost at home to Louisville, so they can't take a second loss. Further proving my point, the ACC weak, because you can bet a 2-loss SEC team's getting in.
So what 2-loss team do you think will make it to the 12? To the tournament?
If Ole Miss loses another game, I think they'll still get in. Alabama.
What about
because
Notre Dame?
it's going to be they're going to get some rectifying decisions after last year missing out on the college football playoff, because we all feel bad for Alabama.
I really believe right now
Oregon will absolutely be in as a 2-loss team.
This format of college football is finally, I believe, going to make Notre Dame get into a conference. Because I believe of all those schools that you just mentioned,
they've got a $9 billion NBC contract. I don't think that they're going to go into a conference.
They're going to miss out by the hair of their skinny chin. So
they could.
And the reason why I say that, because all those teams that you just mentioned, I do believe if all of them are equal with 2-loss teams, Notre Dame's on the outside looking in.
Okay. I will never bet against people having the back of Notre Dame to lift them up. I'll never ever count that out.
No, I get it, but Ole Miss and SEC is a bigger story than Notre Dame and that gold helmet.
Oh, I don't know. Notre Dame, these TV networks, the college football playoff, will desperately do everything they can to put Notre Dame in any situation to compete for a championship.
Understood, but I believe that the way this committee is gone and the way that the formatting is going, and everybody wants everyone to be in the conference, I believe that they will prove a point.
Okay. I am of the firm belief.
I believe they'll prove a point this year.
I have been, as a tried and true group of 5 guy for a long time, and I've said this on national radio. I've said this to, my wife. The college football playoff is invalid until all conference champions at the FBS level get invited. And there might be lopsided scores, but I would love to see an Ole Miss go to Kennesaw State. I mean, how good would that be?
Oh, that'd be great, but
it's invalid until the conference champion. Just like in the NCAA tournament, all regular season conference champions should get in, and then we start figuring out everybody else.
But the way it is now, as far as the power, what they call it now, the Power Four.
Yeah.
Based on Notre Dame's contract and all that type of marketing, it's the Power Four than Notre Dame.
Right. And that's why Notre Dame always gets the benefit of the doubt.
And I believe that the way this new structure is going, they're going to make them get into a Power Four.
But it's much like you and I when we call FAU basketball.
How's that?
The goal is always ratings. So we are the Notre Dame of ratings when it comes to FAU basketball. That's why.
I guarantee you, I would say out of the Notre Dame purists and those followers that's been around them for all these years and for decades and generational type of fandom, they probably don't even know they're not in the conference. And so from that standpoint, they're going to root for Notre Dame regardless. The fans are going to turn on the TV to watch Notre Dame play regardless if they're in a conference or if they're independent.
All right. We'll put it this way. If Notre Dame doesn't get in with 2 losses on the season, say they win out, if they don't get in, as you claim, I will buy you an expensive dinner on the road for FAU basketball this year. Hopefully in someplace rural so that it's not as expensive as if Notre Dame gets in. Oh, that's a great question.
Oh my goodness. Here it is.
Oh, Damon has to do an FAU game topless, or at least a tank top, a weird looking tank top, a midriff tank top. Okay, all right. We'll get it made for you.
And I'll wear it as long as the person that suggested it wears it with me. And then there's the other side.
It was solidarity. Solidarity. Yeah. Solidarity. So FAU within a score in the fourth quarter of 2 of the teams we mentioned that are in the top 5 in the American race, Memphis, USF, Navy, and then within a score in the second half of all of them. So, again, it's not the desired result. FAU has not done well playing all 4 quarters this year, but all of that matters. So here's where things are sunshiny for me, at least still. FAU, 4 games to win 3. 3 of those games at home. You've got 3 games at home are your final 4. The only game you're on the road is at Tulane, who is in the conversation for the American Conference regular season championship.
But I don't know how much of a home field advantage we have to be able to feel good that you're playing at home.
I will always trust FAU fans when it matters to get out there and support FAU football.
I've been to games.
Okay, but Ken LaVicka will not diminish the FAU
I'm not
fan.
diminishing anything. I'm just saying that that we need to just make sure that we put a call out to everyone to show up.
Okay.
These last is getting to my point to make sure we create.
Well, that
home
needs
field
to happen.
advantage.
Yes.
So where we can at least tip the scale.
I'll put it bluntly. Get your ass there. How about that? Yeah. Your question.
Why is FAU the least ranked? Is it because the lowest ranked running back?
Yeah.
Is it because their coach, who was always a quarterback, is so focused on passing that he's going to take him time to figure out how to be a head coach in a running system?
So the question was, why is FAU having just paraphrasing, why is FAU having such a tough time running the football, which has really made the offense lopsided, which affects everybody because all these defenses know that they can cheat the secondary back and cover the pass, which has resulted, I think, in the bloated interception number from Caden Veldkamp as well. Now, is it the coach? Is it because he is air raid? Is it because there have been he comes from a place in Texas Tech where you want to throw and keep throwing? And my answer to that is Taj Brooks, Texas Tech, 2 years ago, ran for over 1,500 yards on the ground. Zach Kittley was the offensive coordinator. So Zach Kittley knows how to run the football. Their starting quarterback got hurt in 2023. So what did he do? He made Texas Tech a running offense and had one of the best running backs in the country because of that. So this is not on Zach Kittley. Taj Brooks was the running back for Zach Kittley 2 years ago, and he ran for over 1,500 yards. So for me, I think what this is, you have an offensive line largely inexperienced, an offensive line that's been pushed around a little bit, and I think that makes all the difference in the world. If you don't have an offensive line that can get push and leverage at the line of scrimmage in the run game, you're not going to run the football.
Well, let's say it for what it is. We need more beef up front. Okay, and so in order to not get pushed around, in order to open up holes for that run game, you're saying Kittley understands how to call plays and how to design an offense where you can have a more than adequate, effective run game, but you got to have players to execute. And all these strategies, all these naysayers or soothsayers or prognosticators, it comes down to having the talent and the players to go out to execute whatever needs to be done. And with this first year, with this coaching staff here, I'm giving him some time before me personally ain't going to be critical of an air raid or a ground game with him, because he's got to continue to get the players in that he needs to execute his system. And with this day and age in college sports, that's a lot harder to do now than what it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
I can't say in good faith that Zach Kittley, because he's pass first because it's an air raid offense, doesn't know how to develop a run game. Because, again, Taj Brooks ran for over 3,000 yards in 2 seasons at Texas Tech. Like, there's your evidence right there to an extreme level that he can coach and put together a really strong run game. So there's the answer to the question.
Well, I think any air raid coach knows that he has to have some run game,
because you need to balance it out.
You need to have it. Will never be balanced from a statistical standpoint.
Here, I'll put it this way: if you have a run game where you could put up 150 yards a game,
combined, not from a rusher,
that the linebackers have to cheat up. And in this air raid offense, because I saw Zach Kittley run it down our, well, not literally, but run the air raid offense via the air down our throats when he was the OC at Western Kentucky by hitting the underneath route over and over and over again, and 50, 20, 30 yards after the catch, over and over and over again. The problem is the linebackers don't have to necessarily come within 4 yards of the line of scrimmage because the offensive line is not opening up holes through the defensive front.
Well, to be a good offensive air raid, to use that terminology, you got to have a cause and effect, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
we don't have the cause.
Much like any offense, but this one especially. But
we need a line. Let's just put it where it is. I'll say it. We need an offensive line. We need some fatter people up there on the offensive line that can move people. And when I say fat, I mean athletically fat, just muscular. You know those guys that has an arm that looks like your entire body without one line of definition?
Yeah.
We need some guys like that on our offensive line.
Can I tell you a story about an offensive lineman? So I had I came down here to South Florida in 2007. Okay. Started covering the Dolphins daily right away. In 2008, the Dolphins took Jake Long out of Michigan, number 1 overall, left tackle. He was going to be part of the big Dolphins rebuild, and he was. You went from 1 win to AFC East champions in 1 year time. It's still the greatest turnaround in the history of the NFL. Jake Long, his introductory press conference, it's when the facility was still there in Davie. I walk into their media room where they were having the introductory press conference, and I look to my left, and I see a guy who is just yoked. I mean, he is ripped up beyond belief. I'm like, man, that is a really good-looking linebacker. Who is that? The owner, Stephen Ross, gets up to the microphone, says, we welcome our number 1 overall pick, Jake Long. Left tackle, that dude was 320, and he looked like a linebacker. And that dude was running a sub 540 as well, just a complete mutant. And then he shook my hand, and his middle finger, the tip of it, went like halfway up my forearm. I've never seen a freak of nature like Jake Long before.
And that's what we need. We don't need no offensive lineman that wears a size 9 shoe.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So we got to get some big guys up there to make these holes so we can create their cause and effect.
Yep.
And that's going to take some time.
Yep, no doubt. Let's go to the chat here. And again, we are at Biergarten in Boca Raton. And Aaron says, I made the joke Saturday after the game. Send the team to Marine Corps Recruit Depot, Paris Island for a couple of weeks. They're going to come back more disciplined. So what Aaron is suggesting is in the middle of the season, send FAU football to boot camp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Now,
okay, I get it.
I mean, they will come out more disciplined. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, but no energy, no nothing.
Yeah, they're
going to be spent when they get back.
You understand, though, the conspiracy theory about what happened to Tiger Woods' back came from he was doing Navy SEAL training in the 2006-2007 range to try and stay in shape. And he's still the most impressive physical specimen, somehow beating John Daly in the history of golf, okay? And he was doing Navy SEAL training, so John the theory Daly, that's how he screwed up his back.
I'm not a golfer, but isn't John Daly that guy that looks like Santa on those?
Yeah, I was being sarcastic, yeah.
Okay.
He smokes like 3 packs of cigarettes a day, guzzles beers and Diet Cokes, and he's that guy.
He's praised for it, huh?
Oh, yeah. He's still going, though. By that, I mean still alive. And then Rich messages in Singletary, Davidson, Edmonds, McCammon. No one like him. Yeah, those were really good running backs. Devin Singletary, Malcolm Davidson, Edmonds, Larry McCammon. Those were all of the those were, and then Alfred Morris all the way back 2010, 2011, ends up being, he was the first ultra successful FAU football alum in the NFL as well, with Washington. Him and RG3 won the NFC East together in their rookie season.
And I don't know this, but I'm assuming those guys had a heavy line.
They had a really
relative to the conference that we're playing.
Well, there was the Lane Kiffin early Willie Taggart era. I would say that the line was a little bit more established, but don't forget that was still in the era where retention was a lot better than it is now, where there is no position that struggles more than the offensive line in this era of college football, because you can't have year after year brand new pieces with that position and what they're tasked to do.
And knowing how much chemistry and just knowing the person to the player to the left, your teammate to the left and right of you.
Right. There's got to be communication. It's not, I'm not saying that there's no other place on the field where this doesn't exist, but from a communication standpoint, from a discipline standpoint, from a knowing where one guy's feet are going to be,
it's heavily affected on
play to play. Like that matters. That absolutely matters. I want to go through one thing here with FAU and the passing offense. FAU is the top passing offense in the American, right? It's the second best in the country. That's pretty significant. FAU, what was that shirt that he was with? Temple Volley. Oh, my God, man. Unbelievable. Temple Volleyball. I believe Temple Volleyball, by the way, is Trent Dilfer when he was at UAB. That's one of the programs that he praised for being really, really good at their respective sport. And the UAB volleyball team was like, what about us? We literally play at the school that you coach at.
Have you noticed every show you work Trent Dilfer's name into?
Yeah. It's because Trent Dilfer's making a lot more money than I do for not working right now.
So what's he doing now? He's going over to UAB?
Making money.
Okay,
yeah. Sure. So FAU, the top offense in the American, second best in the nation. They're the worst rushing offense in the conference and the 9th worst in the nation. this is the key right here. 6th best offense in the American, but only 8th in the league in scoring. So FAU is moving the football, but they're not maximizing what's on the scoreboard. FAU leads the league for most plays from scrimmage, but they have 20 fewer touchdowns than the top scoring offense in the league. That's North Texas. That is the most damning offensive statistic for why Florida Atlantic is in the position it's in right now, in my opinion, at 3-5 and 2-3 in the American, because they move the football. They struggle in the run game, but still move the football. They run more plays than anybody, but they don't find the end zone enough. Why is North Texas competing for a conference championship? They have 48 touchdowns on the year.
But you got to be fair in your criticism, or your analysis, not criticism, is that this is a whole new staff. This is a coaching staff that's new. All these players are new.
Sure,
So
but it's a whole
evaluate them. You got to evaluate
No
them
doubt.
based on their reality. And although that's not where you want to be.
I'm not trying to
winning
knock
football.
anybody or criticize. What I'm saying, though, is that on its face, when you have one team that throws for fewer yards than you do with the same offense, but they have almost 20 more touchdowns, that really matters in the grand scheme of things.
Let me ask you this: whether you're a player or a coach, would you want to know why you're losing games, or or the areas that's contributing to your loss of games, or would you want to play games and just be busting your ass as hard as you can and just everything right? You're executing to a level that you expect and all those things, and you still come out losing. Which situation would you want to reevaluate in terms of saying we need to get better? We're going to work to get better.
Yeah.
We will get better. I would like to know personally the specific areas that we lack.
Well, and this is where FAU is in a good situation. At
Okay.
least this is me. This is Ken LaVicka talking. This is not me channeling Zach Kitley. This is not me trying to push FAU football propaganda. Okay. FAU is in, despite the record, even if they don't go to a bowl game this year, they are in a good spot because it is very, very easy and very fixable to identify and turn around the problems they have. They have problems running the football. They have had issues with the offensive line, and they have one of the nation's best passing games. What does that tell you? Right there. That one aspect of the offense really, really struggles, and that is your huge transfer portal recruitment offseason priority up front and then in the backfield, and that is fixable.
Well, I'm going to tell you, as an alum and as a casual fan of FAU, well, I'm not a casual fan of FAU, but to the casual fan of FAU, with a new coach coming in, I like where we are. I like where I'm seeing.
Yeah.
I like the direction we're going. What do you expect of any coach on any level his first year? What would you expect from them, unless you're not at Ohio State or some of those elitist type of programs?
I would argue. So I would argue, though.
In my opinion, the direction that we're going is the direction you would want your program to go.
No doubt. I also think, though, there is, because there's less retention, the previous thought of, oh, well, this coach, give him three. The common thought in both basketball and football would always be the common refrain: year 3, that's the year. But you're overturning your roster every single year, so that warps it a little bit.
It's definitely.
I think it depends on the program. I think it depends on. There's no doubt what FAU took over, or what Zach Kitley took over. There wasn't a ton of culture and base to build off of. They're like, for basketball, what John Jacobs took over, as you pointed out earlier, there was already a standard. There was already a goal to try and meet. There had already been a winning culture that he inherited and was able to build off that. Zach Kitley took over a football program that won 3 games last year, one of them against an FCS opponent, and didn't win a conference game until the very final game of the year. It is wildly difficult to just come in, snap your fingers, and say, oh, brand new offense, here's 7 wins on the table. That's really, really hard.
I agree with you 100%. That's why, as a fan, I am, and an alum, I'm happy that we got one side of the ball. I'm not going to say fixed, but definitely took great strides just when he touched down here. And another other side of the ball is coming.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that they specifically know the areas of, one, who they need to go get, what type of player
Yep.
they need to go get. Hopefully they know the who already, and go secure them now.
Yep.
And because now the team has been able to form, has been able to be out there all season long, and I'm sure as they see the deficiencies within on both sides of the ball, they watch tape of other games and be like, that player there, insert here, and we're good.
Yep.
And so
no doubt.
That's why I'm happy, because this second year is just a fix-it year. And I got it on good inside source. I'm not going to tell you this. No, I'm not going to call no names. But I've been told from a good inside source that we're 6 players away.
I would agree with that. I know the source, or at least I think I do, and I'm not going to reveal the name either, but I agree with him or her or whoever it may be. Yeah, he's the Temple volleyball source, Kevin is. Coach Prime, AG Wasim messages in. Coach Prime was 4-8, and then 8-4. The only loss so far that I thought we should have won is FIU. Coach is doing a great job. AG, what I'll say too, Zach Kitley unequivocally agrees with you that FAU should have beaten FIU. And he said it to me a multitude of times. That's the one that eats at him still. How his football team and it's not like he does not take blame for it. That game, the way it got away, where FAU they were seconds away from going into the locker room up 11, threw an interception at the goal line, and then everything snowballed. That team allowed it to snowball. Yes, that's the one. And I've said it here. I said it to you on this program. That's the one. If FAU doesn't become bowl eligible, you're going to look back and say, did that one hurt?
And on top of that, what was that for the bucket? What did he play for?
The Shula Bowl trophy. Close.
Shula Bowl.
Yeah.
Who plays for a bucket?
The bucket is Purdue and Indiana. I think it's Purdue and Indiana. I think. I'm trying to rack my Big Ten brain.
Well, so now Coach Prime is the bar of taking over coaching, and then he's the bar now.
Yeah. Without question.
Okay.
Without question.
Okay. So what are we right now? He was 4-8.
And Indiana, Kurt Signetti, he is the standard. So what's crazy about Kurt Signetti? Indiana hasn't been anything, even when Antoine Randall was there, they were fun. They didn't win more than 7 games when he was at Indiana. Indiana is a basketball school through and through. Kurt Signetti comes from the Group of 5 level, takes over Indiana, and they go to Oregon. They win. Indiana could very well, in my opinion, win the national championship. I think they are. Ohio State's a behemoth. It's going to take a pristine, perfect effort. But Ohio State, I can't trust them to get by Michigan, Damon. So who am I to say that Ohio State might be the second best team in the Big Ten? And I do know Indiana would beat Michigan. I can't say the same thing about Ryan Day and Ohio State. Sorry, Damon. Go Bucks.
I'm going to tell you what Buckeyes do. Just be quiet and let everybody talk.
All right. Yeah. Ohio State fans are very quiet. You're right. That's a common trait of theirs.
And just go play the game. Just go play the game.
So what I will say, though, in the wake of what we've seen this year, just to go back real quick to the point, and then I want to talk a little FAU basketball. The season starts Monday against Boston College. You have seen this year that the patience level, depending on the school, depending on the amount of expectation, has gotten real thin. I mean, I would argue here at FAU, we saw that happen with patience running thin when Brian White decided to fire a coach after a year and a half. That's unheard of at this level, but he could tell that it was not going to work. And so you cut bait and you bring in Zach Kitley. I'm not saying Zach Kitley's on the same timeline, okay? Right. I'm not at all. But what I'm saying is it's different. Having patience is different than it was 10 years ago. Because when you have James Franklin, who is in the college football semifinal, the playoff semifinal a year ago, lose his job not even halfway into this year, and Brian Kelly, who had a $54 million buyout, get axed yesterday, that right there shows you that there is not a lot of wiggle room to, quote-unquote, grow your program any longer.
And I believe the reason why that is because now that the college, James Franklin, in my opinion, would still have his job if they just took the top 4.
Yeah.
The coach for LSU would still have his job if they only took the top 4. The fact that they expanded it 12 means that we're not even a top 12 team now. Okay, and so I believe that the bar has been not raised but pushed down.
Yeah, well,
and they're not succeeding, even though we're taking more teams. Everything's about going to and being one of the 12, not the 4,
right?
But the 12, and you can't make it into the top 12 in addition to your track record, even when there was a top 4. James
Yeah.
Franklin, you couldn't beat a ranked school to save your life.
Right. And he lasted 9 years doing that.
So-
but in this day and age, with the NIL, more people are spending more money out of their pocket or their business. And all of a sudden, when the results aren't there, those people say, what am I giving my money to? And then
Exactly.
the athletic director says, I still want your money. And then the money person says, but I don't want to give you my money because the results aren't there. So the AD says, we might have to make a change to the guy in charge because I still want money and I still want to keep my job. Like that's the life of college football now.
And that's why I can't wait for the NCAA and all this court stuff to really come in and narrow.
Oh, you think that's going to happen?
I hope it happens. I hope it happens.
Oh, Damon.
Because the money's still going to flow, but it's going to flow with regulation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right now there's no regulation. And you have a place like Penn State, and I'm guessing, but I think I'm somewhere around it, $5, $10, $15 million to go spend on the football team, and you lose.
Oh, more
games.
than that.
Exactly.
I mean, USF's at $20 million.
So
Penn
now,
State's probably upwards of $80 to $100 million.
And every player, if you're a part of a donor that gave money through the NIL collective or whatever it is it's called now, or however you want to look at it, and you know your dollars went to number 42.
Yeah.
And number 42 is not playing, or number 42 is stinking it up, or he's not meeting the expectation of his paycheck.
Yep.
Oh, that's the coach.
So the problem is I'm just going to take it from a group of 5 level here. So let's just take, like Assad Wasim for a second, okay? Who, for my money, he is, I mean, it's tough to name a best receiver because Easton Messer has been awesome. And Jay-Sean Platt has made a huge leap. But Assad Wasim, to me, is the most dangerous of the wide receivers, just big play-wise. He was at Colorado. Didn't work out there, just wasn't getting the opportunities he wanted to get. So he's come here to FAU in a very conducive offense to wide receivers, and he's shown brightly because he took a chance on it, and the chance has paid off to this point. What's going to happen, inevitably, is this is a breeding ground. The group of 5 is a breeding ground now. And so at the highest levels of college football, there are these schools and these ADs and these money people who say, hey, this is the best of the best. You have to win with this or I'm not giving any money, which cuts your, especially when you have the money that's been thrown around, that cuts your 3-year window to compete for a championship down to 2. Now, if you're FAU, Zach Hilley's trying to build something. He wants consistency, but this wide receiver room, don't think there aren't going to be a ton of suitors. And Zach Hilley knows that. This has become, and I hate to say it like this because I think, again, like I said earlier, every conference champion in FBS football should get into the college football playoff, and the Big Ten and the SEC don't have the guts to ever let that happen because they're very selfish and they run the sport, which is inherently a different problem, an entirely different problem. If it's not cleared by the SEC or the Big Ten, it just doesn't happen. But it's sort of a minor leagues, and these guys get plucked, and it's so much harder to build at this level than it is at that level.
But because now in all college sports with this NIL, when you was a head coach, no matter what sport you were, you only worried about recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got to recruit and retain.
Yeah.
Okay, and so retention is harder than recruiting.
Yep.
I can't sell. It's hard to sell somebody on how something's going to be different moving forward.
Yeah.
And they've already been a part of it, unless you give me more money.
Yeah.
And then I can overlook the things I don't like.
Yeah.
And based on my source again that I have within FAU, they've already started to re-sign their players.
Yeah, get out ahead of it.
Now I don't know who's being re-signed. Okay, and so,
but I'm willing to say
this
just because we brought it up. I'm willing to say this, and I've been here forever, and I've seen a lot of bad, a lot of good, a lot of in between. Probably just based on how long I've been here, though, it's probably been a little more of the bad than the in between. But the wide receiver room is the deepest, most talented wide receiver room I have ever seen in the history of FAU football, and I can confidently say that 8 games in. Confidently say that 8 games in. We're getting a little bit of a too small. What I will say is there are ways to rectify that, but the speed in this room, the hands in this room, the ability to get behind the defense, it's better than even anything Lane Kiffin had and the winning years of Howard Schnellenberger.
We have some good receivers out there, some good hands receivers. We have a lot, but I would like to see us go get that 6'3".
Yeah,
6'2".
You want
type of.
Our
receivers we have now are small in stature. but effective, and there's a place for them.
Right.
I want them all to come back.
I would argue, though, in this conference, you don't, or in this type of offense, you don't, not the conference, this type of offense, you don't necessarily need the Jamar Chase, massive a man, go up and win every jump ball.
Take a Jamar Chase, but you got to ask yourself, is that going to win this conference, the type of receivers you have?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I absolutely agree. Uh-huh. Right.
You're going to penalize Tennessee because they've had to play the competition in the SEC as opposed to Kennesaw State.
Right. Right.
That's what you're going to do.
So the question is college football playoff and adding teams into the college football playoff and potentially keeping out the bigger schools because the conference champion should get in. Here's my response to that. Yeah, you're not going to penalize Tennessee because the SEC and the Big Ten need to have the guts to expand the college football playoff even further. Instead of, if they expand to 18, and it's probably going to happen, and this is like the argument with the NCAA tournament as well, to a greater extent, because the SEC is going to try and ramrod a bunch of 500 teams into the expanded NCAA tournament instead of putting in, and I know it's a different playing field where mid-majors have caught up to the power schools a bit more than college football, but there needs to be, if you're going to play FBS football, then every damn conference in FBS needs to have representation. Or else, what are we doing? It is irrelevant. So, yes, I think you expand it, but Tennessee does get penalized, or they put themselves in a position to be a strong at-large, so we can put Kennesaw State in, so we can put Marshall into this tournament, because if that's not going to happen, then the group of 5 should split off from the FCS and have their own national championship.
So what you want is a March Madness type.
I
want
to put up a trophy.
You want a March Madness type of football related, but you want a March Madness feel.
Yeah,
where David and Goliath match.
I'm just sick of, hey, let's expand it. And then it gets expanded for the teams that are in the conferences that spend the most money, Big Ten and SEC, who handle all the TV contracts, that have all the pull in the sport. That's what drives me crazy. I understand I'm biased with the group of 5, group of 6, however you want to put it, because this is what I've lived my professional life in. But I'm just tired of seeing people from this perspective in this level of college football and basketball get screwed over like this.
Well,
that's my problem. And I know I'm soapboxing.
You put Memphis against Ohio State right now and just put them in based on your criteria. What kind of game are we watching?
Memphis and Ohio State?
Yeah.
Ohio State wins, but Memphis was at least able to make to the playoff. And who knows? Maybe that happens in the quarterfinal. Maybe that happens in the semifinal.
Now, anybody can win a game. That's why you play it. So with that being said, we'll put that fact aside. College football has not been predicated on making matchups where you already know who's going to win going into it. That's why the SEC would take a lot of flack about their non-conference schedule, because they will always go down to the AA schools and play in their non-conference schedule instead of stepping out of conference.
But I'm not saying put an FCS school in there. What I'm saying, though, you should be rewarded at the end of the year for winning your conference championship outside of going to Coastal Carolina to play your bowl game in 52-degree weather. You know what I mean?
There's your reward.
Like Myrtle Beach. None of these kids want to go to Myrtle Beach because none of them golf.
Well,
that's your reward for winning your conference championship, is going to Myrtle freaking Beach or Annapolis?
Pasadena only has one game. Arizona only has one game.
Mm-hmm.
So these areas and these parts of the country you're referring to, they only have one game there, and that's not for those likes. You got to make it there.
But it's just like, to me, it is just like the College Football Hall of Fame being completely invalidated until Howard Schnellenberger gets in, and he's kept out because of a ridiculous technicality about winning percentage, when Howard Schnellenberger has the most incredible resume of any coach who has ever been involved in the sport. Basically saved the Miami program, basically saved the Louisville program, started the FAU program, still the head coach that led a team to the earliest bowl win in the history of the program. And it's invalid until he's in there. College football, the way it crowns a national champion, now that we've expanded the playoff, it's invalid until every conference is represented. I don't want to see these teams who win a conference championship, the reward is to go play at a soccer stadium in Frisco, Texas any longer.
Well, that's why I love basketball. And that's why I love the March Madness that expanded from, 68 teams now that they're talking about?
Well, at 68 now, what they want is 76.
Exactly. So that's why I like basketball. And that's why I'm so excited now that basketball season has begun.
Yep. It has begun. Real quick, I want to AG Wasim with a good point here. Going to be honest, the freshman that's going to be good, and I called it, is going to be Brandon Hoke. He's 6'2 or 6'3. Brandon Hoke is actually seen, and I know we're in the weeds now. We won't spend a ton of time on this, but he's a true freshman from South Florida. He has been able to see some time. He is, I think, next year, especially if this receiving core stays intact, he's your 6'3 threat.
Well, you got to keep him.
Right. No, I understand that.
So
but all I'm saying is that on the roster, that 6'3 guy exists. It's just that he's a true freshman right now.
We got to keep him.
Yeah. I 100% agree.
You
probably got to pay him and got to keep him. Right, exactly.
And so that's why basketball has, I'm not going to say perfected, but they've adjusted a lot quicker to the state of college sports right now.
Rich, improvements in the running game are going to help the touchdowns, 100%. Caden and the defense, no doubt. No run, fast offense, fourth downs are tough on defense. Yeah, all those things are very accurate observations about this FAU football team. FAU basketball, a week from tonight. We will be in the middle of our pregame show. In fact, we'll be in the late stages of our pregame show from the Ellie on the Florida Atlantic Sports Network. Again, Damon Arnette, still the single-season scoring leader in the history of FAU basketball, 1999.
You got to start saying all the stuff.
Yeah, the first 1,500-point scorer in FAU basketball history,
so
Damon Arnette, a man who should have his number on the facade of the Eleanor R. Baldwin Arena.
I won't argue that.
What's that?
I won't argue that.
Okay, yeah. No, I agree. So the FAU basketball season starts against Boston College, ACC opponent, which is awesome. And these are the games that what I love about John Jacobs' scheduling this year is that he inherited a really difficult schedule as if Dusty May was coming back with the complete NCAA tournament team, right? Who all had eligibility. So you had the Charleston Classic. You still had the field of 68. You had all those power conference teams. That was a difficult non-conference to traverse. Now you've scheduled Boston College, right? You've got St. Bonaventure and Woj coming down to South Florida to play at the Ellie. You have a game against Big 12 UCF up at Disney right before Christmas. You go to St. Mary's. You finally, in the regular season, conquered Gonzaga in the WCC last year. This is a damn good non-conference schedule. It's challenging and an opportunity if you are able to pick off some good wins here. You can very well be at least in a fringe at-large conversation.
Looking at this basketball schedule, by mid-December, we're going to know what kind of team we have as far as...
I'm telling you, John Jacobs said the exact same thing today. I'm going to know my team by first week of December.
No, it's definitely because of the schedule.
Yep.
And the fact that they've had all their guys in way earlier than they did last year. I think around this time, the last 3 or 4 international players were just now making their way on campus.
Yeah.
Okay. And so now the fact that we've had our entire team here for the month of September, for the month of October, and getting that work in and getting that chemistry, I really expect us to be a lot further along from a chemistry perspective than what we were last year at this time.
You and I have both seen these guys out there practicing. There have been some injuries to some of the bigs. It is fully expected that they're going to be ready to go by the time Boston College comes into the Ellie a week from now. So Vince Neugebauer, he is the 7-1 center from Germany. He's been a little bit banged up. He's working himself back in. Also, Maxim Logue, the Oregon State product, who John Jacobs recruited before he went to Oregon State. That's the thing. A lot of these guys that came in this year, and by the way, today, FAU gaining the commitment of the highest rated prospect in the history of the program, Felipe Quinones. As a 16-year-old, John Jacobs was in on Felipe to go to Baylor. So revisit it now, but you beat out Baylor. You beat out UCF. You beat out Florida State for this kid. Forget this season and the schedule for a second. That stuff matters too. You had Josiah Parker last year, who picked FAU over a bunch of power conference schools. He was the original biggest recruit in the history of FAU, biggest commit. And now you do it back-to-back off seasons. That's something to celebrate too.
No, that is big time for the coaching staff, and it speaks volumes to Coach Jacobs' international flavor and how he's in tune and the relationships that he has. And it does a lot to also say for the program in order to know now for that next big time 4-star, 5-star.
Yep.
Other 4 or 5-star has selected to go to FAU, even though they had all the other blue bloods knocking on their door as well. So it just always takes that first one to kind of create that little avalanche to get going, and then the other recruits on that level will come as well.
I look at this roster and I look at how they've practiced, and again, this could not mean anything, but I think Kanan Carlisle is going to be an absolute stud.
I mean, Kanan Carlisle, he's the transfer from Indiana.
Yes, and he can handle. He'll play defense. He'll get in there and rebound. He started his career at Stanford, went to Indiana last year. Things didn't work out. That was a bad Indiana season, and decided to get out. He does everything. He does a little bit of everything. And I'm not saying that this offense doesn't work if there's one isolated 20-point scorer and then there's everybody else. But what I am saying is that he's going to do a little bit of everything. And I think that much like Baba Miller last year, different positions, different style of player, but he's going to be Baba, depending on how he played, it really dictated how FAU was going to play a lot of the season. I think Kanan Carlisle is probably that guy this year.
I'm going to tell you another thing that makes his style. We have a lot of players that have individual talent that could take over a game. Now, that's kind of different than what we had last year. Okay, we had a lot of good potential players that had to learn how to take over a game. We have a lot of good offensive players that have the experience already of being someone that can take over the game. We had Evans last year, Ken Evans last year, who was the leading scorer in his conference
at Jackson State,
but you really didn't see that type of leadership.
Yeah.
Okay. But now, as we've watched practice and we've seen what I'm starting to collect from all the data that we've collected from watching the practices is that we have a lot of guys that can, but they choose not to for the sake of the team.
Yeah.
And that when you have that, Ken, that allows chemistry to develop when everybody on the court is sacrificing something of their own personal gain for the sake of the 5 people that are out there on the team.
I will always, 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 in anything I do, defer to you when it comes to anything basketball, okay? And this is where I want to ask you how much this matters. Florida Atlantic last year had 2 guys that were the dudes, the guys, the go-to players at their previous stop. The guy you just mentioned in Ken Evans, Jackson State, and then Kiki Tandy, who came from Jacksonville State. This year's roster does not feature a player that is coming from a school where they were the guy. They were the one leaned upon to do all the scoring. I think Ken and Kiki struggled because they were in new roles compared to what they were used to. They were in more off-ball roles. They couldn't get themselves comfortable at any point during the season. How much do you think it matters this year that you have a group of guys that never were really relied upon, at least in this part of their careers, to put up 21, 22 a night?
It matters a lot because there's something called an ego.
Sure.
And when you have competing egos, then that's not going to lead to chemistry. Okay. And so the fact that you had these guys that were talented and were accomplished at their previous school, now they're trying to be Musafa here at Florida Atlantic.
Yep.
And unless you're going to be that dominant guy, and to be that guy, you got to literally step on people.
Yeah.
You got to literally knuckle up in practice at times if it comes to
Sure.
that. You've got to want it to no end. Okay. And we didn't have that type of guy that wanted it so much. They just thought they deserved it.
Yep.
Okay. And they kept waiting on someone to pass them the torch when they needed to go get the torch.
Yep.
Now, the difference with the team right now, to answer your question, is they're still trying to figure it out. There are no egos out there on their floor right now. Somebody may emerge as being the alpha, and that's fine.
But I think there's good ego and there's bad ego in this
Exactly.
spot.
They have every athlete has an ego.
Yeah.
And
you need to. You need to.
You're gonna have an ego, but they don't have a selfish ego to the point where they're, instead of making that extra pass, they're going to shoot with a contested shot because they think they're nice.
I just think from a broad standpoint, what FAU fans can expect, and again, there's a reason we said December and not late November or third week of November. John Jacobs has flat out said, we are going to know what this team is in December, November, would it be great to pluck a bunch of big wins? Absolutely. But it's going to be hard going to Lynchburg and taking on Liberty and College of Charleston. College of Charleston, 20-win team from a year ago. Liberty, 20-win team from a year ago. There are 5 20-win teams and 3 NCAA tournament teams in this non-conference schedule for Florida Atlantic this year, and then that's not counting Memphis, who went to the NCAA tournament from the American last year. But this is a team that is going to defend better. This is a team that's not going to be hit over and over and over and over and over again by the 3 ball. And this is a team that features guards who are going to be much more willing to rebound the basketball. And last year, that was lacking compared to what we saw the previous 2 years with the Nick Boyds of the world, what we saw with the Brandon Weatherspoons of the world, who was playing 2, 3, and 4 on the floor. These guards want to get underneath.
As an athlete, you always going to play harder when you feel like you want to have something to prove.
Yep.
And last year, to your point, the transfers that we got in were already established, so they wanted their resume to step before their play did here.
Yep.
And they thought, just because of my resume, these shots are going to go in. I can take this shot out of system.
They struggled.
And then they struggled.
I mean, Baba Miller came in with a chip on his shoulder, and there's a reason that he's up north now in a power conference, is because, was he perfect? No, but
No.
Did he play like he had a chip on his shoulder? 100%, because he wasn't the guy at his previous school.
Exactly. And these transfers that have come in this year, all of them are trying to still make a name for themselves. Yep. And this is the place and this is the team that they feel like they can do that.
Yep.
And Coach Jacobs has allowed them the room and the flexibility with his offense and his coaching strategy and the relationship that he's built, okay, for them to go out there and step out on the floor to feel like I can make that extra pass and I'm still going to get mine, because that person I just passed it to, he's going to pass it to me should the shoe be on the other foot.
I want to leave with this before we wrap it here. Like we talk about with retention in football, especially at the quarterback position, FAU has a major benefit this year that they have retained a heavy minute point guard in Nico Moretti. So Nico Moretti still being on this roster, and Nico Moretti, who I believe to be, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but he's going to be tabbed as the starting point guard for this team, played a lot of minutes last year, was in the game in a lot of important spots, and a full season under his belt for really the first time in the last 3 years of his basketball career, whether you're talking Italy, whether you're talking Illinois, where he racked up injuries and then didn't play. That's so important. That's so massive to have a retained starting point guard.
Well, it's really important if Nico turns into one of your leaders.
Yep. Because
he's the only one that's played in this conference. Him and with Devin Vanderpool. Those are the only two, but Nico got bulk minutes playing in this conference. So he knows what to expect when we go to UAB. He understands the fact that we've never won there. He understands what it's like to go to South Florida. He has all these experiences to share to the newcomers that are coming. So if he allows himself to take that leadership role based on his experience, then you're exactly right. But I just hope that the talent that has come in doesn't make him or any of the other players on the team that have stayed over start fading in the back because, the guy from the player from USC, because they just see names. As a transfer, I've been this player. When someone new comes in, you just see where he came from.
Sure.
And if it was a bigger school, there's a intimidation that can set in. And then you have to go and prove yourself, and you try a little bit harder. And that can be a double-edged sword if you're that kind of player that reacts that way. But this team right now, from what I've seen, is bonded, has started to develop this chemistry, and they genuinely like each other.
They're long and big. That stands out right away. They're long and
Very
big.
long.
My bold prediction before we say goodbye: Devin Vanderpool is going to be a finalist for the Defensive Player of the Year in the American Conference.
I'm with you on that.
That's my big, bold FAU basketball prediction. Want to thank
what was your surprise for me?
What?
You said you had a surprise for me.
Oh, I don't have – well, we may
tomorrow.
No. What I said is we might be able to announce it as early as tomorrow, but not here.
Okay.
There's still some pen to paper that needs to happen.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Want to thank everybody for coming out here to the Biergarten in Boca Raton for Monday Night Live. Florida Atlantic Voice, the presenting partner, Robes Law Group, ROBES, RobesLawGroup.com. Personal injury lawyers. Don't forget to download the Robes Law Group Shield app. It is perfect for you you never know when you're going to need a personal injury lawyer. Like, that's one thing I've learned. You just never know. You can't plan ahead for anything like that, especially an automobile accident. There is no personal injury lawyer that puts you in a better position to traverse the scary moments post automobile accident, post motorcycle accident, post slip and fall than Robes Law Group, that Robes Law Group Shield, because they have the option to, you sign on to that app, you log into that app, you open that app, and you can document everything in real time so you don't have to recollect later, because that's where issues start to come in from a legal standpoint. So Robes Law Group, the Robes Law Group Guard, the Robes Law Group app, downloaded, and it works for both iPhone and Android, so get that on your phone now. He is Damon Arnette. I am Ken LaVicka. Thank you, everybody, for coming out, and next week at this time, we'll be tipped off for the start of the FAU basketball season, Florida Atlantic and Boston College. Appreciate you watching live, and this will be out on podcast form wherever you get your podcast in just about 36 hours' time. Thank you.